Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today you're going to see me get a brand new record on my free-to-play account with regards to raw experience gained. Now, of course, when we're getting huge amounts of raw experience, tier 8 is absolutely perfect for it. And no, it's not going to be in a Churchill 3. Most people have their experience records in the tier 5 Soviet heavy tank because it just gets a flat 50% extra. On my main account, my experience record is over 4,000 playing in a Churchill, and that was something stupid, I guess like 2,600 base experience. Now, today's game is not going to be that much, but then again, it kind of would be if I was playing it in a Churchill, right? We're going to be playing in the TS5. So immediately some of you might be going, QB, how is this your plays for free account, an account which I never spend any money on if I have the TS5? Well, that's because this tank was available as a mission marathon. If you completed 10 stages, it took you about 30 hours, depending on what kind of a level of a player you were, you could get this tank completely for free. I have traded far too much of my life for having tanks that I already have on my main account, on my free-to-play account. There's a little bit of a challenge, there's a little bit of a content, and just to see how much of a no life you had to have to be able to get through those challenges. So the TS5 is just like the perfect, no brain, just drive in tank inside the game. Really, this vehicle requires hardly any thought process. This tank is basically just hold down your W key until you get into a close quarters scenario, and when you're in that close quarters scenario, just point your mouse over things and just click until they die. And if you can't pen them, well, dab the 2 key and load gold until they die. Or alternatively, if you can't manage to penetrate them in that way, then high explosive rounds can be a little bit useful for you as well. And the HE on this tank adds up because this thing gets a stonking rate of fire. So I'm using my favorite build for just close quarters combat, low alpha damage, high DPM tanks. And that will be gun rammer, durability, and turbo. You really can't go wrong with a build like this. I'm telling this VK to fall back right now because he's kind of making it an absolute living hell to be able to go through this 50 TP, but luckily he's also kind of pinning him up against the wall, which allows me to catch him. I'm worried about the 50 TP catching my weak point, although unfortunately the VK caught a little bit more than a weak point there as they are stricken from the game. However, we are managing to... Ooh, bad shot there against the turret. Top of the turret ring there. Needed to hit the turret ring and not the cheeks, but lower plate should be good. That was a dodgy shot, but it still somehow goes in. I'll take it. But in this kind of a situation, these players, unless they aim for my weak point, and even if they do hit it, it's got fairly good armor on this weak point. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's not awful. So they kind of need to be loading gold to have a really good chance of going through the weak point. But if they don't, yeah, it's not going to work. And with this tank, I just like to put reckless aggression in. I like to just go in. I like to just keep advancing at my opponents. And then I'm wedging my lower part here to be able to make my lower plate better angled. And then I turn quickly, snapshot, but unfortunately off the turret. But we haven't lost a single hit point yet. 1,650 hit points with the durability device on this vehicle. That's as much as most tier 8 heavy tanks have. It's crazy the amount of health scaling you can get once you play a tier 8 TD. And Mr. Pershing, they just don't really seem to know what to do against this tank. And can you really blame them? But you know what's one of the crazy things about this game? And this is why this game could end up, well, why it ends up being the highest experience game of all time on my free-to-play account. And that is that even though we've crushed 4,000 damage, even though we've managed to pick up 3 kills, and our team hasn't actually picked up a kill yet, it's just been me, my team are still nearly even on hit points, and they're actually down on tanks. We are down by 3 vehicles. This is one of those kind of like 1 in 1,000 games, or at least 1 in 500 games of World of Tanks, where you actually have a chance in a situation to do some crazy stuff. And when you pair that with, at least in my opinion, an absolutely outrageously overpowered tank like the TS5 for these kind of scenarios, then you know dreams can happen. So this is 4,700 damage and 4 kills in the first 4 minutes of this battle, but we've still got our work cut out for us. So in this kind of a situation, I was expecting that the enemy team were going to go through the east and probably be able to win that flank. And so instead of just sitting in the town and maybe getting outflanked, or maybe they try and get my base, I just decided, you know what, they probably don't have many tank destroyers down towards the south as everyone who's been spotted, so why don't we just go straight at them? Now this vehicle, it's not particularly fast, but with the turbo, it's able to go at 30, which is half decent. Oh, that's a bit of bad RNG. And that T-52, who looked like they were AFK, they're actually not. And now, the artillery starting to make fun of me. Dang, without the med kit here, we're going to be very slope. But we get to retain our repair kit because of that durability device, so our tracks are healthy, and good luck stopping this. So the T-78 is scurrying away, and I really can't blame him, because the TS-5 is fairly merciless, just like the artillery in this scenario. So by pushing out here, I just wasn't taking any chances. If I sat in the town and I didn't go down the west, then, yeah, to all intents and purposes, the opponents could be able to flank and get the base. In that kind of a situation, I probably could have loaded an HE shell with intuition there. We actually set the T-78 on fire. They use an automatic fire extinguisher, minus 10,000 credits for that player. And they also get shut down. And now we have a Ferdinand. I'm thinking, shall I track him? And I just decide I can destroy him before he can probably even turn his tank around. So I'm just going to go for the damage and not faff on tracks. I don't know about all of you, but I end up probably wasting too many shells into tracks these days. Back in the day, without durability devices, without people taking the field mods on tank destroyers that increase their track health. Yeah, Mr. IS-3, can I get past here, bro? Oh, luckily the artillery doesn't manage to damage me. Oh, Norbert, I'm going to get you later on, or at least I'm going to try to. Without kind of all of those ways to increase your track health, back in the day, it used to be such a good idea to just shoot tracks and then be able to lock that tank destroyer down, and you could probably reload. You knew you were going to take their tracks off in 2 shots. These days, sometimes 2 shots are required hitting the front axle to be able to remove the tracks off a tank. So now, even though we've managed to do 6,000 damage with 6 kills in the first 6 minutes of this game, I think there's a pattern there. My team is still down by 2 frags, and they're also pretty much dead even on hit points. So what more are we going to have to do? Unfortunately, there have been 3 kills on my team, so there's no chance for the Rizene Heroes medal. But we can't really worry about big medals right now, as we kind of just have to get back to base to actually try and protect the cap circle. I was also looking at the missions that I was doing here. Alliance 14, to try and do this with honors, requires managing to do 40 crits. But, oh, I just realized I've run out of heat. I've run out of AP rounds, and now I'm down to heat, which means the heat can't go through walls. So that we waste a shell on the G-row. We should have fired an HE shell there through the wall, or I should have just aimed above the wall. Didn't think that I had run out of AP. Finish off the KV-1S, and right now it's about trying to not get flanked by the EBR, just trying to control the engagement. G-row gets shut down, and I'm going to try and get my backside to the wall to stop this pesky little EBR from flanking. It's going to fire 1 heat shell, and they're going to start to reload HE, and that's a min roll. 300 is as low as you can possibly roll with 400 alpha damage. That is a disaster. But the EBR gets set on fire. They are going to be cooking, and now hopefully we can turn around and get the T-52 as well. And 7,000 damage into this game, and 8 kills to our name. With 7.5 minutes into the battle, man, this was just TS5 doing TS5 things. This vehicle was the tank that not only did I get this one for free, this one massively helped me for getting the other tanks in the mission marathons for free as well. And that's because this tank, you don't have to think when you're a little bit tired. Let's say you've been grinding a lot of World of Tanks, you're like 4, 6, 8 hours into a mission marathon for the day, and you don't have any brain power left. You just want to like blob out, just hold down the W key and just go in and see what happens. This tank is perfect. Not only is it one of my highest experience averages on the account, probably one of the reasons why I'm managing to get my top experience in this game today on this account, but also one of the ones that I naturally 3-marked on my free-to-play account, actually before I 3-marked this thing on my main account. Weird, right? Just an absolute tool of a tank. Just go in, grind out your opponents, and the best thing about this tank for mission marathons is that if you go really aggressive right from the beginning and just drive in and put, this doesn't sound like the best recommendation, but 3, 4, 5, hopefully 5 shots into your opponent, 6, 7 shots before you've managed to get shut down, you make lots of experience even in your losses as well. And the best way still for tank destroyers to be able to influence the battle is to get stuck in early to the heavy tank flank. Usually the team that wins the early engagement on the heavy tank flank then snowballs the battle into their favor. Of course, sometimes the other flank can be won faster, sometimes they can be dealt with from multiple angles by an overwhelming number of enemy tanks, but more often than not, the best way that you can get the best win ratio and the best average experience in your tank destroyers is just to set them up in an aggressive way and to go absolutely crazy right from the beginning of the battle. So, what I was just wondering right now is, will we manage to get the pools medal? Disaster! Low roll! And I was thinking to myself, am I going to really drive in front of an ally there to get my pools medal? But I decide that I don't. You know, what good is a pools medal if you've had to get it by blocking an ally, right? So I don't drive in front of them. Luckily, the gods help me in the M2Y misses. I managed to finish off, get that 10th kill, and I decided to try and fire one blind at the end of the artillery, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, and we didn't quite get our revenge on Norbert, and I can only imagine what the result would have been if we did get that 8,000 damage and the 11 kills if the M44 had come and tried to fight us. Before all of you think this is going to be a draw, it was assault. I was defending against an assault, meaning that we didn't have to finish off the artillery. So victory, which is kind of the only way to really get your big experience games, right? Outside of courageous resistance, if you manage to get battle heroes in your loss. And boy, this was a good amount of battle heroes. Pools medal for those 10 kills. Steel wall for blocking. Just how much damage? 3,500, enough to destroy this tank a couple times over, and a high caliber for a filthy 7,700 damage dealt, which was nigh on identical to the rest of our team combined. So when people out there are questioning, oh, why don't I win my games of World of Tanks? Sometimes you just got to do pretty much more than the rest of your team and destroy 2/3 of the enemy team single-handed. But on the other hand, unless you can somehow manage to rig the World of Tanks matchmaker, yeah, good luck getting an overpowered tank like the TS5 against TS6s constantly, right? But I must admit, ladies and gents, my, at the time, record in the Plays for Free account was 2,919. That was in the Kampfpanzer. And that was 1,946 base experience. And this game was 2,301. This was 15% higher than the Kampfpanzer. However, this is a Plays for Free account. I wasn't running a premium account at the time. And so it stays at 2,301. We don't get the extra 50 experience, which means that this game doesn't actually become the 3,451 new record that it would have been, which really, when you think about it, this is definitely one of the lamest things about your highest experience record, is that a premium account actually affects it. And so alas, poor TS5, you could have been number one. But I guess this was just the game that got away from a free-to-play perspective. But still, 121,000 credits profit without a premium account. Yeah, not bad. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that should have been my highest experience game of all time on the free-to-play account. I thoroughly recommend checking out the TS5. It's not the most intelligent tanks, which will actually do well for not just the best of players, but for everyone. Just go get yourself a durability, a gun ram, a turbo, hold down the W key, go mess up some heavy tanks and get on to the next battle while making a whole heap of credits, win, lose, or draw, without a premium account. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below what tank currently holds your experience record in World of Tanks and why. As in, like, why was the game that you had incredible in it? And if you're watching this video as it's released on Friday and you're bored, I'm going to be streaming all day. And I'm running a Steel Hunter tournament where 15 of the best Steel Hunter players who qualified in my bracket will now be playing for the glory of 5 gold Type 59s. So let's see who will be the ultimate Steel Hunter. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.